Welcome to No Idea. I'm Whitney, Chief Marketing Strategist with Kevin, Vice Chief. That's his title from now on.
That's the new title, yes.
That's it. Last week we talked a little bit about what you should look for in an agency and what you should definitely steer clear of. So I think we should talk about quality content.
Mhm.
We've said it over and over, post quality content all the time, like a
Right.
broken record.
Right.
But what is that?
Because I think, people obviously interpret and take away different things from the things that you post, but you want to be posting things that are of good quality and being consistent with that as well.
Absolutely. So, one, being relevant.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on in the world? And we kind of touched on this with auto marketing. So, those automation tools that you use, if you just set it and forget it, can get you in a lot of trouble, especially right now, because things are changing. They always change super rapidly on social media, but right now, especially so.
Right.
So keeping an eye on what's relevant, what's going on in the world. You never want to offend people. You don't want to be insensitive, and you need to show your personality and how you feel, but also have a goal in mind.
What do you typically tell our clients who maybe feel inclined to, and we talked before about, as an employee, you want to be careful when you go on to other people's posts or make comments because you are representing that company that you're working for. But as a business owner, it's probably good practice to kind of stay out of some of the more controversial, we always say don't talk about religion and politics when you're around your friends and family, but obviously with social media, that's pretty much a lot of times all that it is. So as a business owner, it's probably a good practice to stick to what you know best and not necessarily exert your opinion all the time.
Right. I mean, you want to know your content really needs to reflect who you are. You want it to be that. And that's kind of where it gets gray area. You're like, well, this is who I am and this is what I believe. But you don't want to alienate a large group of your potential audience and customers. So just being mindful, and giving value. You want to show personality, but there's a lot of ways to show personality without inserting yourself into things that can create conflict. And when you're talking about issues where there's no right or wrong answer, I would steer clear of those. You want to be very direct with your posts, make sure that they are relevant, that they have a goal, that they add value, and that they are direct.
Yeah. And with that personality, I think a lot of times you can maybe knock in a little bit of fun if you're a more serious business. I think followers, especially now, want to see that little glimpse of a funny side. If you have a funny anecdote or meme or something that might break some of the tense toxicity of some social media posts, I think that that's okay to inject that every once in a while. You obviously don't, if you're a doctor, you don't want to have constant, comedy coming off your page, but you want to, again, like you said, give us a peek at that personality.
Yeah, I mean, social media does really two things. It introduces you to the brand and says, why are you different? Why should I choose this brand over another brand or this company, whatever it is? It kind of breaks that indifference. So I follow brands because I like what they do. I like what they say. Something about them speaks to my personality, or they just have a personality. Even if you're serious and this is my job, this is what I'm going to do, you still have a personality. You still have favorite colors. You still have maybe you like baseball. There are so many different ways that you can show your personality. That doesn't mean you have to get completely out of the box or share things that you're not comfortable in sharing, but things that are very basic. You're still a human being, and people need to see that. And that's really what they want to do and connect to. Otherwise, why be on social media?
Right.
It's social.
Yeah, that's the key part of that. Yes.
And so when you kind of introduce yourself and let your personality show, it also allows people to trust you. And then they continue to do business and they refer people to your business. And that's the whole point.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, like Whitney said, it's getting into, seeing those brands that appeal to you with the products that they sell, but also, I follow some that I will probably never buy anything from them, but I like the message that they have, and you can kind of connect with them. So you're also maybe building that engagement, you're building that awareness, that brand awareness. So if someone runs it, to follow you, but maybe aren't buying from you, but they know someone that would be interested in your product, they'd be more inclined to share that information or share those posts, because that's the other good thing is those posts can kind of get a life of their own if they're engaging and resonating with the people following you.
And you're not always going to have those unicorn posts of
Right.
content. It's hit and miss, but that's how you learn. So using the data and using insights and tracking what you're doing, measuring your content, those are the things that are going to help you create more unicorns. Again, you're not going to hit a home run every single time, but you are going to learn more about your audience with different content. And when you do find a unicorn, just use it everywhere.
Yeah.
Those unicorns perform well on every single channel. You do have to vary your content. And
Sure.
you can't just put text on every single channel.
Yeah.
You need to have, if you find something that works, do an image series, an infographic, a video, and then maybe a blog.
Mm-hmm.
Hit people in all the ways that they would typically consume content. You know that it's relevant. You know that people are interested. So give it to them in the way that they like to consume content.
Yeah. And then, like Whitney said, keep an eye on those numbers, the data, the analytics. And obviously, it may not be possible to replicate that unicorn post, but you're at least then able to know what they're liking, what resonates well with them, what has worked in the past. And that's kind of what we do when we look at our numbers and analytics as well, as we see what posts kind of resonated and worked, and then the ones that didn't, we pull them, shine them up a little bit, and try to do it all over again.
And there are a lot of ways to get engagement with posts. We kind of go back to, why do people post controversial topics? Mm-hmm. Well, that's because it's engaging.
Yeah.
But they're really vanity numbers. So are they speaking long term? So short term, you're going to get those likes and engagement, and then probably some bickering on your post. But does that lead to long term engagement? No. Does it speak to your audience? No. Does it lead back to anything that you do? No. It will probably just polarize you mm-hmm. to certain people and completely turn people off. And the moment that they block you or they unfollow you, you're going to have to pay money to get them back, to get your message back in front of people. And you don't want to do that. That's just costing yourself more money. And if you look at that post or, that article and you're like, was it worth it? I can guarantee you're going to say it was not worth it right. in the end.
Yeah. And the vanity numbers is very interesting as well, because you do have to, recover from that in some cases. If that's all you're looking for is that cheap pop of the big ratings boost, think of it as your favorite TV show and them doing something kind of out of script or out of character for the show, but they know it's going to bring in a lot of ratings and people are going to watch it. But then the next week, who's going to watch? Because you've already kind of done that crazy thing, or you've alienated people with that stunt, versus working with your audience and really knowing what they want to see versus something that may bring in a bunch of eyeballs for that one moment and then they're gone.
Right. I mean, I watch a certain show, Grey's Anatomy, all the time. And one time they did a musical and I was just like, one, why?
Yeah.
Why did that happen?
Yeah.
Nothing against musicals, but that's Grey's Anatomy.
Right.
So that week, I'm like, I'm not even going to watch this. And I didn't. Well, I think I went back and watched it, but it still served no purpose. It was completely out of the blue. It was just kind of a grab, and it failed. And there's still articles today that say how terrible it was.
I remember hearing about that, yeah. So
know what you do and be true to your brand. You always want to show your personality. You want to show your point of view, but always take a step back and think, is this point of view going to benefit me, benefit my business? Is it going to provide value at all? Yes, you may want to say it, and yes, you may believe it, but does it provide value, and really does it represent your company's mission and values? And if not, you should probably just go ahead and pass. You want to be personalizing everything to your audience. Um, that's the reason you do everything.
Right. Exactly. Always keeping that audience in mind and being transparent as well, and maybe not necessarily showing everyone how the sausage is made, but being that authentic, true. I'm sorry, I'm throwing out a bunch of old cliches.
I just thought about the video that they show how chicken nuggets are made, and it literally did nothing. I still eat chicken nuggets. I love chicken nuggets. If you want to bring me some, that would be great. But yeah, I mean, I get it. They don't need to know, but some people do.
Right. So, and I do think that there are things, you can take people behind the scenes of certain scenarios or situations with your company, and I think people enjoy seeing that. I think that for example, Silkworm, when they're printing T-shirts, when we can show people that process, I think that people enjoy seeing that, because it's not something they see every day. They see the finished product, or the build up to it, but then the actual process. So being kind of that, giving that peek behind the curtain, as long as it's safe for your business, and there are obviously other factors that you have to consider, but it is not it's not a bad thing to let those viewers in as well.
Yeah, and that kind of shows how it can help show how you're different. The quality steps that you take that others may cut the corners on. So that's those behind the scenes. Yes, some people actually think that they're fluff, and I understand that, because you're like, well, it doesn't lead to a direct link on my website, or it doesn't, but it does. It creates a sense of comfort, that they know you, that they are comfortable with you, which builds trust. It appeals to emotions, which is the most important factor of marketing. It is really the key of successful marketing. So showing those behind the scenes things can also show how you are different and can win you customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And keeping it, keeping this content into almost bite-sized pieces too. You don't want to overwhelm your audience or your potential audience with a lot of stuff either.
Yeah, I mean, people don't really like to read, especially when you've read things and you're like, okay, I just spent 2 minutes of my life reading something that has no point. So if you have a long piece of content, take the most important bites out of it. And if somebody is interested, you don't ever want to push content onto people. You want them to come because they are interested in you and interested in what you're doing, which will give you your best data, really. So taking those bite-sized bits and then creating images, creating graphics, images, same thing.
Sure.
Videos, those kind of things. And that's kind of how you diversify, the unicorns.
Right. Yeah. And again, that is the important thing too, is some people like to read blogs. Some people would rather listen to a podcast or watch a video or look at an infographic or an image. So again, as you're gauging this and building this content, you will see by the reactions and looking at the numbers, you can kind of figure out what is resonating with your audience. And it's also a way, like we've talked about before in the past, about repurposing content. You can take that blog post and turn it into a podcast, for example, or turn it into a quick social video or a YouTube video.
Yeah. And, when you find something that works on Facebook, make sure that you are repurposing the content and optimizing for a different channel. You don't want to take that exact post and put it on Instagram. That drives me crazy when I'm looking at a profile and the image is cut off. So make sure that you are optimizing your content for each channel that you're on, each profile that you have. tells me that you are taking the time and you know your content, you know your audience, you know your platforms. When I do see that, images are cut off, I think that you don't care. And really, I think that it's all automated, that
Hmm.
you're not even taking the time to talk to me on Instagram
Yeah.
or show me things on Instagram,
Yeah.
but you're just programming it and walking away.
Yeah. And because Instagram is such a uh, visual platform, you have to be probably a bit more regimented with those posts versus Twitter or Facebook. But the other thing with Instagram is I think a lot of people don't realize, like, you can't put a clickable link into an Instagram caption. So I see people do it all the time. They say click here, and you can't even copy and paste it. So you really just copying and pasting from Facebook to Instagram to Twitter is also something you don't want to do, because again, it looks automated. It doesn't look like you have put the effort, or that you care about it. So always kind of know the platform and how each of them work, because they all work differently and have limits on characters in some cases, or some work better with hashtags than others. So just kind of knowing all the layouts of all these platforms is also going to go a long way with your audience.
And do your research. You want to be all of these things, be relevant, show personality, show a point of view, have an action, a call to action, but you have to do your research. You can't just post and hope that, cross your fingers. Luck marketing is, you'll never have luck doing that,
Yeah,
long-term luck anyway.
sure.
So always do your research. Really have a reason for every single post that you have, and know its short-term benefits and the long-term benefits that you hope to achieve with every single piece of content. And I know, when we say that to people, they're like, that's a lot of work, but it's supposed to be.
Hmm.
This is your business, this
Right.
is your reputation. Everything that you put out there can come back, and we've seen that more than ever
Hmm.
recently.
Yeah.
So being extremely mindful of what you're posting, and just setting your goals. You cannot be successful if you don't set your goals and know what you're trying to achieve. And every single thing that you put out should have a goal.
Right. Yeah, and that includes, if you're on Twitter, doing the retweets, or if you reshare a post on Facebook. Why are do you trust the voice that you're sharing, first of all, but and knowing, is it going to bring value and relevancy to your audience? Because with my own personal things I have fallen into before, where I feel like, it's been a while since I've posted something, I'm going to just retweet this. But then it's like, is this really going to add any kind of value to anyone's day that is part of my network? So always kind of be aware of that as well.
And if you are on Twitter and you're going to retweet, tell people why
Hmm.
you are retweeting it with a comment.
Yeah.
It's very easy to do, but it's also very easy to forget
Hmm.
to tell people why you're sharing this. But make sure that you are reading everything before you retweet it or share it. Every single word. If you're going to take the time to share it, always read it. There was, and I've seen this from a lesson, not that I did, but I've seen a business shared some posts, and it was about money, like money management tools, and all of the shares mentioned their competitors within
Oh,
each
wow.
blog, and they were just sharing because it did have great information,
Sure.
but it was also working against them.
Yeah.
So, when you find something, I'm not saying copy it, but if you find something that speaks to you, you can create something on why it spoke to you
Hmm.
and what it means to you, and own your content.
Sure. And that's the safest way, I think, to go about that. And that's a good idea, because I mean, let's face it, is there anything original anywhere anymore? I mean, you can take an idea and tweak it and make it your own. And I think that for the most part, the public is pretty forgiving of that. I mean, you see other companies post similar things a lot of the times, but people aren't, you know, calling you out on it necessarily. So it's better to be safe than sorry, right? Is that how that goes? Yeah. I had a moment there. I was like, is that the way that another cliche? But anyway, it's important to, like Whitney said, if it's a video, watch it first, listen to it, and make sure you're not sharing something that maybe is not matching up with your message and your company's ethics or beliefs or whatever the case may be.
Just yesterday, I saw a super funny video, and I was going to share it, and I shared it privately with you
Yeah.
for sure, but I was going to share it on my page, and I did a little Google search because it's very simple to do that.
Yes.
So please do it.
Yes.
On the person that did the video, and it was not flattering when I got back. So I didn't share it because I knew the moment that I did it made, you know, what he did okay in the past, and I definitely didn't want to portray that, so I didn't share it. But it was super funny, and had I not done that super quick Google search, I could have really regretted that.
Right, and that's a good idea. You know, always take that extra minute or two to verify, or you know, even if you're not into marketing and you're watching this and you're just you know, posting stuff on your own page, a lot of the times it's just a great way to kind of eliminate some of the clutter that's going around, and then people are debunking and everybody's fighting. So post your cat photos and what you had for lunch instead, I guess.
Yeah, just know that it takes 2 seconds to type something into Google. So you don't have to delete your post in 5 minutes, because flat out, you look like an ass when you do that. People know you posted it, they saw it, so don't do it.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
Just be mindful. And
so true.
I mean, that's the summary. Be mindful of what you're doing, have a point, and short-term goal, long-term goal.
That's right. And
or we
can help sort. Yeah, exactly. We can help sort through all of that. And, you know, we make it our mission to help your brand, your business grow. And, you know, we follow the trends, and we know kind of what's going on, because things change and get tweaked and whatnot as well. So we keep up with that as well. So just check us out online, or of course here on our Facebook and YouTube channels, and we'll get you hooked up.
Let's do it.
All right. Call us also 618-529-0969.
Bye, guys.